What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the ruthlessly relaxed Dr. Disaster, and one of the most dangerous enemies for the woke crowd as they battle for the soul of the video game industry are gamers with eyeballs.
You cannot hide. I see you.
They hate it when we notice that all of the games that they advocate for, which are supposedly emblematic of their movement, they hate it when we notice that those games have been steadily selling like shit over the past year or so. These days, whenever we see a character like this, a female person of color, with a side shave on her head and virtually zero sex appeal, we just know that it is a signal to the woke tribe that this is a game for them, and we avoid it like a toilet after someone ate some spicy chili and did their business in it.
Do not go in there. Woo!
Conversely, it's not hard to notice another pattern, that games which feature normal characters that aren't trying to push some kind of an agenda, those games tend to do really well. In fact, as a professional noticer of things, I have in fact noticed that in the past year alone, there is a definitive pattern. Video games featuring curvy female characters and or masculine males sell well, while other games sell like crap. Warhammer Space Marine 2 featured heroic, brutish men, and it sold awesome. Concord featured ugly characters that nobody wanted, and it sold like shit. Marvel Rivals has attractive female and male characters, and it sold really well. Dragon Age the Veilguard has ugly transformers in it, and the reaction was predictable.
He's half man, half woman. What?
So with all of that in mind, if you take a look at the artwork for Doom the Dark Ages, it isn't hard to predict it is going to be a pretty big hit. The game features a testosterone-fueled ball of pure masculinity going around and ripping demons to shreds with his guns and shield and all that kind of thing. The review embargo is now lifted for Doom, and you just know that the game journalists out there don't want to acknowledge that the game is good. After all, the Doom franchise has famously made fun of progressive politics in the semi-recent past, comparing demons to illegal immigrants and things like that. But it turns out that Doom is now under the Microsoft umbrella, and the game journalists were obligated to acknowledge that this is actually a pretty fun game. As you can see, the Metacritic score for Doom the Dark Ages is pretty good. Hell, even IGN broke the mold and finally rated a game as something other than a 7, giving this one a 9. And what amuses me is imagining these game journalists typing their positive reviews through gritted teeth, glaring resentfully at their computer screens, and their anger-addled brains form a hallucination in which Doom Guy mockingly looks at them and says,
Spare me your foul gaze, woman.
Alright me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. Channel members have access to the audiobook version of the first section of a novel I've written, a dark fantasy story called The Darkest Heritage, which will be out on Amazon soon. And I'm also working on a Space Pirate cartoon which channel members will get access to first. We can't just complain about the things we dislike in culture, we have to provide alternatives. So, if you want to support that sort of thing, become a channel member for as little as $5 per month. But anyhow, let's take a look at how Doom the Dark Ages is doing. Over on Steam, the game is sitting at number 12 on the top sellers list, about a week away from release, and if you look at that list more closely, you'll see that the only non-free-to-play games on that list that are ahead of Doom are actually Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. Obviously, those two games have been absolutely dominating the gaming landscape for the past 2 or 3 weeks, so it's unsurprising to see Doom just behind them. When the game releases, I certainly expect Doom to hit the number 1 spot on the top sellers list. It would be surprising if it doesn't, and if it does hit that position, that will really drive home the point that I have been trying to explain to people for the better part of a year now. Game Pass games are fully capable of hitting good sales numbers. Game Pass is essentially a rental service, and rentals have existed since gaming was a thing. Clair Obscur is a Game Pass game, and it's been just about the most popular game in the world for the past couple weeks. They announced that they just hit 2 million in sales a few days ago. And Doom is a Game Pass game as well, and even if it doesn't become the top seller on the Steam platform, it will certainly break the top 5, and it will push big numbers. This is a massive franchise with rabid fans, and the game looks like it was extremely well put together. But speaking of what it looks like, let's take a look at the reviews for this game. As of the time of this recording, there are 44 reviews in for Doom, and it is sitting at a solid 84. Now, I grant you that the words of a game journalist, those so-called professional critics, their words don't mean a whole lot to me in a general sense, but when they review a game like Doom, which their normal instincts are to dislike, you might remember a few weeks ago, a couple of journalists wrote about how the game reminded them of an Xbox 360 era shooter, and they said that was a bad thing, despite the fact that the 360 era was arguably the golden age of shooters, but they said the game was too heavy metal. To be clear, they hate that there's no obvious woke crap in it, but anyhow, when these pro-critics speak, their words generally mean little, but you know they'd like to call this game bad, and they couldn't bring themselves to do it, and that is noteworthy. Some of it may be due to the fact that the game belongs to Big Papa Microsoft, and they don't dare utter a word against one of their corporate benefactors, but it may also be the fact that the game is just clearly good, and the gaming community is aligned against the crap that they have been pushing, all this woke nonsense that they want to see, things like what we saw in Dragon Age the Veilguard, or like what we saw in Concord. So, anyway, they feel compelled to play it straight and give Doom a legitimate review. I'm not sure what side of all that I believe. Let's take a look at a few of the reviews, and I'll let you decide for yourself. The outlet Games Hub gave this game a perfect 100 out of 100, which always makes me suspect bias. There are very, very few games in the history of gaming that I would accept a 100 out of 100 on, and even those have their flaws. But anyways, they write here, the game may not be perfect, but it is a really meaty fiesta of fighting. So yeah, they start off by saying the game isn't perfect, but they gave it 100 out of 100. Get the hell out of here with that. But anyway, tearing demons asunder will never not be cool as hell, and for that reason alone, I can easily see myself coming back to Doom the Dark Ages time and time again, especially after a particularly stressful week. Gamers Heroes gave the game a 95, saying, Doom the Dark Ages is the most badass Doom has ever been, a killer soundtrack, first-person melee combat better than it has any right to be, and the most intriguing version of the Doomslayer we've ever seen. And then Gaming Bible here is an outlet I generally disagree with on everything. I really can't stand them at all, but they said Doom the Dark Ages is an action-packed, cinematic, glorious delight, and with the bonus of it being a prequel, it could be an ideal entry point for those new to the series. Depending on how 2025 continues to play out, it wouldn't surprise me if Doom the Dark Ages is a topic of hot discussion as a Game of the Year contender. And then here's The Gamer, who gave it the second worst score of all the reviews with a 70 of 100. They wrote, Doom the Dark Ages is the weakest entry in a fantastic trilogy of games, and despite how I feel about its additions to combat and exploration, I'd rather an experience that took risks and sought to reinvent what it means to play a Doom game rather than build upon the familiar. So, even though they didn't care for the game much, they still think this is a reasonably good title. Chances are, from all the footage that I've seen, Doom the Dark Ages is going to be a really solid play. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you think about Doom the Dark Ages? Certainly, it isn't a 100 out of 100 experience, but based on what you've seen of it thus far, what kind of rating do you expect that you would give it? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.